All right, this is just a quick run through training of everything we've done here at Sugar Hill Church here in Texarkana. And the first thing that we did is we on the list is we installed a couple of new wireless microphones. These are SLXD, they're digital microphones, and they are rechargeable. You could get a cradle and rechargeable batteries for those if you wanted to, and expand on the system. Then we've got all the original ULXS mics, and then the new media player on the bottom. This is the existing power sequencer that was already in the old system, and it's working fine. So on the PMD 500, which is, the DN 500 here on the bottom, new media player, it has a CD player slot. It has a USB flash drive connection. It has an auxiliary input, but it also has a really good long-range Bluetooth connection. And to get between any of those, you just hit the first button here, which is source, and you just scroll through and it'll illuminate on the screen what source you're on. And then when you look on your phone to connect to it via Bluetooth, it comes up as the model number, which is DN500. The DN500 will show up there. So let's go ahead and get everything turned on, and we'll go through the console. While that's booting up, we've got all 32 of our inputs are visible here on the surface, and it's there's a set of 8 faders. Well, that's how they're separated. They're separated by 8s, 4 sets of 8s. And so what we've done is we've arranged so that the 16 channels that we have on the digital snake in the back in the amp room, which all the stage connections are connected to it, we've got all of those first. So you can see we've got the pulpit on 1, it's plugged into the number 1 stage connection, and then channel 2, which is in there with in the same box with the pulpit, and then 3, 4, and that actually goes left to right across the back, all of the inputs there, up to channel 12. Channel 12 is the last one on the stage, so 13, 14, 15, 16 aren't being used on the digital snake. So then if you go to the next section, which is we've labeled orange, is all of our wireless equipment. So we've got the pastor's mic, the headset mic, which is the aerobic headset for singers or anything like that. It's one of the ULXS belt packs. And then we've got wireless 1 and 2, that's our new Shure mics. Wireless 3 and 4 are the other 2 ULXSs, which are handhelds. And we're not using the last 2 inputs on that section. The next section we've labeled pink, and we've got PC on the computer on the first 2 channels here. And the reason it's taking up 2 channels is that is a stereo signal. And so you can see that they are linked together, but that is both coming from the PC. And the next one is we labeled CD, which is the media player that we were just looking at. And then we've got some extra room here for some extra devices if we need that. So all of the inputs are here visible, but what we're not looking at are the outputs. So we've everything that we're doing right now, we're mixing for our house audio. So every adjustment we make, we'll be able to hear in our main system. However, if we come over here to the side, we see all of our auxiliaries. We see aux 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. We've got these labeled because these are our different outputs. Choir monitors are 2 speakers that are in the cluster that are facing back toward the choir. Floor monitors are all of the black new Community MX8 floor wedges that we've got on the stage. And then if we skip down to here, we've got the hearing impaired system, which is the Listen Technologies assisted listening system here. And then we've got live stream, and that output is feeding over to the mixer for our Facebook Live or whatever we're doing there. To access any one of these outputs, all we have to do is select it. It'll light up blue and blink blue, and the entire mixer becomes dedicated to just that output. You can see if I push turn off auxiliary 1, it goes back to the mains. So now I'm mixing for the mains. Now I'm mixing for the choir monitors. So everything that whatever button is pushed over here, the entire mixer becomes dedicated to mixing for that output. Likewise, my floor monitors are different, my hearing impaired system, and my live stream, all different. We can actually connect a set of headphones here to the headphone jack, and we can use the Q button right here to on the main fader and actually listen to whatever blue button is pushed. So right now, if we plug in some headphones and turn them up, we'll be able to, because of this button, we'll be able to hear what's going out on the live stream. Now we're hearing what goes out on the hearing impaired system without even having to put one on, and the same with the floor monitors. Now if I turn off the auxiliaries and cue the mains, now I'm listening to the main output, which isn't really necessary because we're already in the room. So the next thing to remember is what's behind the gear. So if we press the gear at the top of the screen here, we've got one really valuable thing that we can select, and that's the Save Load button. If we push Save Load, we see what all information is on this thumb drive or any thumb drive that's plugged in to that slot. And you can see there's something called Binsberg.tff initial setup and the date, time and date. That's the initial setup for our console. Now we've made a little bit of changes, so what we're going to do is we're going to resave it again. So we'll hit save, and that's going to save and write over that file. I would recommend creating a new file by doing Save As and do a new file if you're going to make any changes, just so you have a few different points to fall back on. Now what I can do is I can actually change the entire function, the entire mixer settings, and go to load that setting, and it'll load, and as it's loading up, we'll notice that all the settings will go back to exactly the way that they were before. And with anything on the screen, all we have to do is hit X to get out, and we can also push the home button, and that'll get us back to our home screen. So everything on the surface of the console is pretty simple and intuitive. We've got on-off buttons for each channel, and we've got volume faders for each channel, and then we've got a main fader. So that's pretty intuitive. However, everything else has been built under the hood. You can see that if I go to my screen, what they call the fat channel, we'll see all of our channels listed here. But they look a little different because it's actually all of the settings are visible for that screen, for that channel. So you can see my gain is at the top. I've got 48 volt. Some of them are turned on, some of them aren't. I've got my EQ. You can see where my EQ setting is, all of that. But if I double click on anything on this list, I double clicked on the gain right there, and you can see I've got a slider for my gain, I've got a meter, I've got my 48 volts, I've got which input I want to use, whether it's local or the digital snake, I've got all of that right there. But if I double click on the EQ, I've got a parametric equalizer, and I can move. This is touch screen, so I can just move and shape the sound any way I want it there. The next valuable thing down here is down at the bottom where we actually label the screen. We can click on that and then click the pencil, and we can rename it right here, change the color, the icon, all of those things. And so that's really handy. And then once again, we can just hit the home button and go back to where we were. Another neat feature in the fat channel, besides we covered the gear icon, that's some changes we can make to the headphone, what we hear in the headphones, but little cassette tape right here. This is actually an audio recorder. I can go to the input output, and I can get turn up and turn down the levels for it and everything else. But if I go to title list, I'll be able to put in a thumb drive, and then I'll be able to just record, stop, play, everything just like an old-fashioned cassette recorder would be. And then if I have a really big flash drive, I can just record services from now on. Got a little pencil here where I can actually title them any way I want them. On the assistive listening system, we've got it's pretty feature rich for what it is. It can actually do 2 different inputs, and we've got basically a balance between the 2 inputs that we can do here. And each rechargeable belt pack has a headphone jack on each side, 1 and 2. And the reason for that is you've actually got 2 inputs on this unit, and you can do like assistive listening on 1, and then you could have a Spanish translator on 2, and they would be able to select which one they want on the belt pack and use the same system for both. So that's kind of neat. You've got volume control right here on the front, balance between the 2 here, which if it's just straight up, then they're going to get the same thing in 1 and 2, so that's probably best, so it doesn't matter which one they plug into. And then be careful, there is a button for a test tone right there, which will generate a very annoying buzz or beep in the headphones. And then you can actually plug some headphones in here, and you have a monitor control if you want to hear what everybody else is hearing. And so the units are rechargeable. They plug into just a simple micro USB, which is provided, and then there's volume up and volume down on the front. The default for them is volume down, and so if someone wants to use them, they should probably be instructed to turn them up to where they want it to be, to the level that they want it to be at.